Alright guys, starting a little later today. Today is Sunday. Wasn't going to make any videos today, but I was sitting out here again. It always kind of happens. I'll be like sitting out here thinking about my life and the world in general, right? As I seem to contemplate these days, modernity as my channel is quickly becoming, lamenting on modernity. And the reason I want to make this video now is because I was thinking about this recently. I talked about a content creator named Jord, that's Jord, that I started watching recently. He's a really good content creator, and he's kind of like a more based version of Styx Hexenhammer. I don't know if he's Christian. I've made some like comments on his videos, and he's very responsive. And so I just think he's one of those guys where he's open to like all the metaphysical possibilities, whereas like Styx Hexenhammer is like a staunch occultist. I don't think that this Jord person is. So if he's watching this video, shout out to you. He is very good at responding to comments, so if you go to his channel. But yeah, this is I've been talking about modernity in many of my videos, but watching his videos kind of helped me come up with my thesis. Maybe this will be the thesis of the channel going forward. Because as you guys know, just to give like the quick background, especially if you're new to the channel. By the way, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. This is going to be a Monday video, so you guys will see this on Monday. Please subscribe to the channel, like these videos, comment down below. If you want to make fun of me for the way my beard looks, or my stupid Eagles hat or stuff that I wear, right? Feel free to do that too. Can't guarantee I'll respond to those though, but but yeah, so just to re-explain, like obviously I come at these issues from a more Christian perspective, and the reason for that is because I was raised Mormon, LDS. Never believed in the theology, really. Like as a kid, I just kind of never bought it. Joseph Smith and all that stuff. It seemed too convenient. And as I got older, it just became more and more apparently so. But I've always held the belief that Christ is the Savior. So Christ is King, essentially, is always kind of the belief I've held. So like in the last probably just 2-ish years, because I went through a weird, I mean, it's not weird, everyone goes through this. I went through the libertarian phase. I never went through the atheist phase, but I went through like the libertarian agnostic. We're going to read Ayn Rand. I think I've talked on this channel. Stefan Molyneux was like the first content creator that I ever listened to that kind of like blew my mind. I wish I would have listened to him about Bitcoin way earlier than I did. So I'm not talking bad about Stefan. I still think Stefan is great. He's back on YouTube as well, by the way. Pretty cool to see him come back. But he still is in that, atheist mode of thinking that I've kind of moved past. So, yeah, that was kind of the bedrock. The bedrock was Mormonism. And as I've learned about theology, I realized that, a lot of these Protestant sects come from like a Calvinist tradition. So Mormonism is kind of like it's like a further breaking off of Protestantism. So basically why I'm giving you this is in my quest to discover more about Christianity. I was like, okay, I'm going to like go to the beginning, and that's how I found Orthodoxy. And I found like Jay Dyer and several others that do the Father Moses. These people do these these videos. And now you've got Jason Mirichuk. He's a Orthodox Christian. So it's becoming a little bit more, not mainstream, but it's getting a lot more popular in today's insane world. So yeah, that brought me to the idea, especially when I was watching Jord's video. It was a live stream. He talked to this. It was a really weird video, kind of gross in ways. Not because of Jord, but because of like what happened in the video, where he invited this woman on who was into like earth magic, something like that. And before that, the part that made me think about this video is he was talking about he had this like druid guy on. I can't remember. I think it was the channel's Unheard. There was an interview that this druid, an actual druid, I'm not saying like he was on there talking to this woman, this Unheard channel. You guys might have heard of this channel. It's a huge channel called Unheard. You guys can look this up. It's just this guy. He's got this huge beard. He looks like Radagast the Brown from the Hobbit movies, but he was a legit druid, and he was, a lot of things he was saying was very true. He was a boomer, but he's very based, saying a lot of things that's like extremely based, and so that's what got me thinking about it. I was like, it doesn't really. I mean, I am Christian, but it's like, even if you're not Christian, like if you're just like smart enough, you can pay attention and figure out what's going on. Like another guy I really like it that I've said many times is Academic Agent. He's not necessarily religious, but he's one of the best out there for political analysis. He's absolutely spot on a lot of things. The funny thing about Academic Agent is he says things that you'll get pissed when you first hear it, but then you just give it like 3 or 4 months and you're like, oh shit, he was right. He does that a lot. So I just have to like give it up to him these days. I try not to even like naysay, I don't agree with him religiously, but like when it comes to real politic, he is absolutely spot on. So yeah, this gets me to my my thesis. And like I said, this might be my thesis going forward because I talk a lot about modernity. I do talk a lot about women as well, but I try to conceptualize it in the concept of modernity. Like, women are women, but there is a specific breed of modern women that we're dealing with right now, and same with modern men. And so this Jord guy was talking about wizards and druids, and I've been researching this in my Orthodox studies about how this was something I had to break out of. Like, when people talk about religion and God, they say, oh, we all worship the same God. Even the Catholics, the Roman Catholics, have caved to this one with Vatican II. They've basically said, yeah, like we all worship the same God, trying to like hint that we all worship Christ, or the Father, right? We all worship the Trinitarian God, which just is not true when you read about these religions. It's like you read about Judaism, they don't worship. In fact, Judaism was created out of a rejection of the Trinitarian God. So they don't worship the same God. Then you have Hindus. Hindus believe in reincarnation, so they don't worship the same God. Then you have Muslims. Muslims think that Muhammad was the last prophet, similar to Mormonism, actually. Mormon's a little different, where Mormons believe that there are still prophets, like there's a prophet today, but same concept. They don't agree with John the Baptist being the last prophet. So as far as I'm concerned, they worship a different God. So that's the point I'm making, is that you could go even quackier. Scientology, Jehovah's Witness, they probably worship literal demons. You could go to Hollywood, right? Like woke, even though they're not formal religions, they worship demons. They're almost like sex religions. It's the way to think about it. And this Jord guy is really good with this. This is why I like him. He's really good at breaking down how they'll use this is like Christian theology, right? The 7 deadly sins. They'll almost like pick a sin and they worship that sin. E. Michael Jones has talked about this too, with Protestantism. Like the way Protestantism was created was that Christianity came to the West and was thrown into the wilderness and had to survive. And so Protestantism is like a Christian version of like the Western, right? It's like a survival of the fittest, but in Christian form. So these things are all very interesting to me, guys. I hope I'm not like talking out of my over your head right now. You know, I'm not trying to say that howdy. I've had comments where people have said that they don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time, but it is what it is. You know, this is the channel, so you guys can. I feel like I give you guys enough. Like I tell you who I'm talking about. You know, I could probably start citing more books if you guys are into that. But really, it's just me watching other content creators and then thinking about things. And I've been doing this for years, so like it takes a while. But if you guys are interested in theology, like Jay Dyer, I know a lot of people think he's cringe, but he's really good. If you go back and look at his old live streams, he's like you can type almost any Christian topic and it will come up, and he'll have like a video on it. So that helps. And then numerous books that you can figure out to read about this. Like you can read, like, this is like a more beginner book, like Patrick Deneen, I think is his name, Deneen. He wrote a book about how liberalism failed. Even Barack Obama praised this book. So I always recommend that as like a first book to go to if you're trying to like understand modernity, because most people they think in this like democratic liberalist lens. So you got to break out of that first. Then you got to break out of politics in general. You almost have to think like anti-politics. Once you do that, then you can start thinking metaphysically. At least that's the process that worked for me. I had to go through stages. And I started in the libertarian area, actually, economics. So I started even lower. I had to learn economics, then politics. You know, then I had to learn elite theory. I had to learn like how this works. Then you have to learn about theology. And so, yeah, knowing what I know about elite theory, basically what it is I've talked about this in the past, but we could take the fiat dollar, right? The US dollar. That could be almost construed as like, I don't know, maybe the sacrament of the modern religion, right, is this fiat dollar, because it's this belief structure that the elite, part of the spell of modernity, right, is they really need you to believe in this dollar, this currency unit that they print into oblivion every year and tax you to death on and lie to you about, and, you know, steal your savings, right? There's no safe haven in it, but they really need you to believe in these systems around this, like the 401k and the Roth IRA and you know, the real estate investment something, you know, bonds, specifically bonds. They really need you to believe in US bonds because that's debt issuance. That's another thing. They need you to believe in usury. They need you to believe in debt, loans, all this stuff, you know. And in and of itself, this is not bad, but this society that we've created has become so toxic because it's all based on this. And we've basically become serfs in our own country, and now the immigrant hordes are invading, essentially. This is a tale as old as time, but yeah, that's one of the key aspects of the spell of modernity, guys, is that they want you to really believe in the fiat dollar. Another thing is they want you to trust the experts. We've seen this during COVID, right? The reason I'm making this video now is because I think I've observed enough to where this can be like a definitive video for a little while until I think of a better explanation. But this can be like the definitive video of what it is. So they want you to believe in the money, and then you got to trust the experts, right? And this used to work very well before the internet. You know, especially with the boomers. I've said it many times. The boomers are a generation that was raised on the television. So they were raised by the experts. And the experts we've learned during COVID is vast. The experts can be Mark Ruffalo in Hollywood. The expert can be Gal Gadot, right? Wonder Woman. The experts can be Anthony Fauci. The experts can be Kareem Jean-Pierre, right? Biden's black lesbian secretary. The lesbian or the experts can be Rachel Levine, okay, the health secretary of the Biden admin, who was an overweight, fat, aging man wearing a wig. This is why the spell, they've become so inept. The spell isn't working anymore because they're so clownish now. But we could go back to darker days, you could say, right? You could say the expert would have been Barack Obama. A lot of people fell for this, right? The humble black man who was evoking Martin Luther King. You could even go back to that, right? Martin Luther King. He's an expert. A lot of people don't know about what Malcolm X said, but they know about what Martin Luther King said. And why is that? I'm not saying Malcolm X was any better, but he wanted a certain outcome, we'll say, that wasn't suitable to the experts for black people. And so they had to shut that down, and they had to astroturf MLK. So this is another part of the spell, right? Is they're essentially creating movie. This is kind of what Hollywood. This is why I always bring up Hollywood, because if you think of the government like as a mixture of Hollywood and pro wrestling, everything makes perfect sense, like what's going on. Because what they do in Hollywood is they write scripts and they have a plan, right? They have a plan for the movie. And that's kind of what they do with politics and experts, is they create these figures, right? One that's coming up that I'm still unsure of is J.D. Vance, because if you go read about J.D. Vance, he has a book. He has a movie made about him from a book that he wrote. And he has these deep Peter Thiel, Silicon Valley ties. So for all we know, J.D. Vance could be another government creation. We don't know. And he just kind of, now it's almost like with this, especially with this recent Epstein stuff with Trump, it's like they're just biding their time now until Trump has finished his last term, so they can finally brush him aside they won't have to rig any more elections. They won't have to, they can kind of try to get back to casting the spell over us again, right? By creating this smooth, he's like my age. He's 4 years older than me. This smooth millennial man who's married to an Indian, by the way. He practices Catholicism, apparently, but she practices Hindu. So, very interesting. And you go read about Elon Musk's new America Party, right? I think it was Grok, actually. If you guys don't know, Grok went like crazy recently and was going like ultra based, calling itself Mecca. Hitler. I'm not going to say it just because of YouTube. It's not. But they asked Grok about the America Party, Elon's party, and essentially it just said the truth completely. It basically said that it's trying to just replace us all with Indians, essentially. So again, this is what I see coming, right? This is the narrative they're trying to write. They're trying to put the woke away, as Academic Agent always says, and then they're trying to cast this new spell on us of like, okay, we're done with the woke, but just trust us, bro. We're gonna do the Great Reset like Klaus Schwab style, but we're just gonna do it a little differently now. We're gonna let you own some things. We're gonna let you say retard now on YouTube. You can say the N-word sometimes. You can maybe even talk about the Jews a little bit, but ultimately, we need you to just accept this tech censorship. We need you to accept that you're just going to be living in a bug pod, and maybe we're going to start implanting chips in your brain. I don't know, and possibly we might go to Mars. I don't know yet, bro. But just trust us, bro. This This is all going to work out. Like, look at the economy, guys. Like, look at the economy. It's so good. Trump literally did this recently. Like, is everyone talking about Epstein? Look at all the good things that are happening. Look at the economy. Did you guys see what happened in Texas? This tragedy in Texas. All these people died. Okay, so why are we talking about this? You just look at all the good things. Or we just passed the big beautiful bill. The big beautiful bill. There's great things happening. Like that's this is the spell. And like I said, it's really not working anymore as of right now. But I can see what they're trying to do. Anyone paying attention can see what they're trying to do. They're even trying to do this on the left now. So on the left, they've got this Indian guy. I always forget his name. This Indian guy in New York. I don't really care to remember these people's name. He's essentially the left-wing version of, if you could even call Vivek Ramaswamy right-wing. This guy would be like the anti-Vivek Ramaswamy, but ultimately they're all in league together, so I don't really care. They're part of this J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, tech bro invasion, right? I guess that's what it is. We're replacing the Jew with the Indian. That's the future that they're trying to carve out for us. It's still ethnic replacement. It's still, anti-Christian. We're still moving in that direction. I made a video about the new Jurassic Park movie, like a little side tangent. But I noticed in that movie, like the family that they really wanted you to like, they weren't even like Mexican people. They were like brown people. That's what I'm calling it now, because I don't know how to explain what it is. It's like they're just multicultural people. It's like you can tell that they've got white genes in them, but they're like brown people. If you guys have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So this is the future, I guess. Is like everybody's just going to be like a shade of brown. That's kind of how it is. So they're casting this spell, right? So that's one. Trust the experts. That was a little bit longer of a tirade than the fiat currency one, but that's very important, because you got to realize that we laughed at the experts in 2020, right? After the debacle, a lot of people didn't fall for that, but you got to realize that they've always got they've got a new script. Think of it like Hollywood. They've got a new script. The new script now is that, hey man, hey bro, like MAGA's cool, man. MAGA's cool. We just passed this big beautiful bill, $5 trillion more on the debt. This is great, guys. This is great. And we're fixing inflation. That's something you got to really pay attention to. They say they're fixing inflation. Well, what does that mean if you consider that 5 years ago, there was, even without them fixing this inflation, things were still cheaper. So what they're saying, they're really just fixing what Biden did, but they're not even fixing that, because they're just lowering what Biden did. But Biden raised it so high, and Trump also initiated this with all the stimulus. You just have to remember what they did. That's the key to staying sane with this stuff, is you have to have a long memory. You cannot forget any minor detail of what they did, because if you do, that's what they try to do. Because this is going to be my third thing, actually, of the spell of modernity, especially now with the internet. So what they try to do now is they try to, it's a term called memory holing, if you guys don't know what that is. They try to put things away as fast as possible. So this is kind of what they're doing with the whole Epstein thing, right? They're just trying to, and I know why Trump's doing it. I made a whole video about it. He's doing it because what it implicates is that everyone around him is a complete swamp creature. And I think Trump has realized now that if he drains the swamp, it means that the entire country stops functioning at a government level, which, I don't think that's bad, but Trump obviously does think that's bad, because Trump is all about, I got to make the deal and I got to make sure everything runs on time. And, I'm not even saying Trump's on it. I don't know. I just think Trump's ultimately, this just goes back to what I said from the beginning. He's just doesn't have the stomach for this. He's too much of a boomer. And so he's not gonna break this illusion. But he's now doing what I'm about to talk about. He's trying to memory hole it. It's very odd from him, because he's literally trying to get people to forget about this, is what I'm getting, which makes no sense. It's like, how can you, something we've been talking about for 8 years now, something he ran on in 2024, Now you're going to be like, oh, there was no client list. That's insane. And even the left is having good meme moments now, which I got to give it to them. Like Destiny basically had a tweet. I hate Destiny, but he had kind of a funny where he was like, okay, well, if there's no list, then why is Ghislaine in jail? And it's like, yeah, that's a valid point. It's true. It's like, why do we have somebody in jail for sex trafficking if there was no sex trafficking? It's so, we know what's going on, but this is what they try to do. So again, another thing they did was with COVID, many times during COVID, but I remember they were telling you that masks didn't work in the beginning. I specifically remember this. It was when it first started. Masks don't work. And then like 2 weeks later, they were like, oh, actually masks, you need to wear them. And they tried to memory hole the fact that this is something they do that's very weird. Instead of just admitting they were wrong and apologizing, they actually will just double down and they'll try to just shuffle the lie under. That's the oddest thing about this, because I feel like if they just admitted they were wrong, like, hey, we thought masks didn't work, they do work, then they'd look better. But they never do that. They never ever do that. And so what happens is they just, oh, forget about that, bro. Forget about what we said like just a week ago. This now, guys, this a good example too is recently is the tariffs, right? The tariffs, that was the big talk of the town, the tariffs. Now nobody talks about the tariffs. In fact, CNN now is talking about how the tariffs are good. So they're just trying to memory hole. This is the thing. This is another aspect of the spell of modernity that you need to pay attention to, is what I'm getting at, is watch how the narrative shifts. And it shifts so fast now that this is why I try not to cover the news, because it is slop. Like, I could be talking about something and literally like the next day, this happened to me last week or 2 weeks ago with my videos. If they didn't get a lot of views because, they were kind of rambly videos, like very incoherent even for me. Where Trump was just doing all this stuff with Iran and dropping the F-bomb, and I didn't know what to believe. So that was like literally a week where like I would make a video and like the next day the video was obsolete, but I was like, well, I already made the video, so I'm going to upload it. And so that's something to really pay attention to. So to kind of reiterate what I said, because we're 20 minutes, well, we're more than 20 minutes in because I had to edit, but this is going to be a longer one, guys. But thank you so much if you guys are watching this. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, help me grow this thing so I can start doing live streams. I'll do more for you guys. I'm even looking at like memberships. That's probably the way I'll go, because I don't really care about the YouTube aspect of monetization, but I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to tech, if I'm being honest. So I'll have to figure all this stuff out. And yeah. So the three ones I've went over so far is fiat currency, trust the experts, memory hole, and the last one that I really want to talk to, like the biggest spell of modernity. And it did really take this Epstein thing for me to be able to. Also, Dave Green, I talked about them in my last. Dave the Distributist has been really great in a lot of things, but he really helped me click this into place recently. But the final spell of modernity that you really need to be aware of is the insanity factor that is going on in society, the mass psychosis. And we're kind of reaching an event horizon here, guys. Like, I'm pretty serious about this. We're reaching an event horizon where, the boomers are almost gone, the millennials are getting old, and the zoomers are kind of approaching their 30s, essentially. They're late 20s, they're mid 20s, late 20s, so they're getting up there. All of this is going to take place in the next 5 to 10 years. And what's going to happen is this another thing too is the AI thing. The AI thing is getting to a point where, especially if you're young, it's going to be very, very, very hard to know what's real and what's not real. I've talked about my love for the Blade Runner films in the past. One of the reasons why is because I feel like of all the Hollywood productions, that was the one that kind of set the future of like what the future might really look like in 50-ish years. They thought it was going to be in 2017. I always laugh when I watch that movie. The first Blade Runner, if you guys don't know, takes place in 2017. So that's what they thought by then. But yeah, the last spell of modernity that I'm seeing is that they're going to basically try to gaslight you into thinking that everything that is not normal is normal. And they've been doing this all along, but again, it became really apparent during COVID. And the reason why I'm making this my last one is because this ties into all the first three that I talked about. The money sucks, but don't worry about it, bro. Everything will be fine. The experts are not experts. In fact, they're morons and they don't know what they're talking about. But just trust them, bro. We know that the memory hole thing, we could go to like Solzhenitsyn for this. We know that that we're lying, but still, bro, just trust us. Trust the plan, bro. And that's what they're going to do. And if you fall for this, if you fall for the fraud, essentially, you're going to go insane. It's that simple. So Dave Green was talking about that. He was saying that it was like an honor of his that he's had his YouTube channel for over 10 years and his entire audience is basically people that have not gone insane. The way that he said it was they haven't trooned out. I thought that was a really good way to put it, because yeah, that is part of this, is that a lot of these unfortunates did, they've removed body parts from themselves that they can't get back. And that's going to come to the forefront eventually, very soon, where these people are going to literally go insane. I don't know how else to explain it. It doesn't mean that they're all going to like become violent or crazy. By the grace of God, they might become like devout Christians or something. Right? There were plenty of examples of eunuchs in past Christian eras. People that just gave themselves to God, basically. There's a really great example of this. I forget her last name, but her name's Chloe. She was on Benjamin Boyce's channel many years ago. That's when I first saw her. Very, very sweet girl. It actually like broke my heart listening to her, but she was a female to male transitioner, and she like detransitioned is what they call it. And she's become an advocate against all this stuff, but she's removed parts of her body that she can't get back, and so it's very tragic. And so this is part of it, guys, is that not only is this going to manifest mentally if you fall for this, it will literally physically deform you. This is straight demonic stuff that we're dealing with here, right? And to kind of tie it up, the spell of modernity, to get back to what Jord was talking about, I think that what's happening right now is you have many religions and many gods being worshipped right now. And I would say like 80% of these gods, well, really, in my view, all of them but one are demons. But, there are grains of truth in every religion. I do think that's true. But the ultimate goal of religions is important. You need to look at that and you need to study it against Christianity. Again, my opinion. And you need to see if they do actually indeed worship the Trinitarian God, Christ, because a lot of them don't. And this also will drive people insane. This is what drove the boomers insane in many ways, is that they picked a religion, right? They didn't seek for the truth, right? There's this term in psychology called love bombing. This happens in Mormonism a lot, where they make you feel really good. They even say that in the scriptures, like you need to pray about this until you feel a burning in your bosom. But that in Catholic and Orthodox terms, that is a form of pre-lest. Like you can't just trust a feeling. You can't base your entire worldview on emotions. And this is what the boomers fell for. So I don't know what you call that in the passion, right? You're falling for the passions, essentially. That is like an ultimate form of the passion is emotionality. Very, very women especially very susceptible to this, but men also in certain ways. So this is something you got to watch out for with anything really. But yeah, they really try to. This was the whole project of Hollywood, is really like try to get your emotions right, get you feeling a certain way. When you watch a movie like Schindler's List, right? They wanted you to feel a certain way. So that's the last one, guys. Is that they're going to try to gaslight you. It's becoming very obvious now, but the to give you like a vision of the future as I see it, is that I think that yeah, they're gonna just double down on this AI stuff, this tech stuff, and they're gonna try to make you think that things that are, it's gonna be the same playbook largely, but they're gonna use like AI and fake footage. And there's a really wild theories out there like Project Bluebeam, if you guys haven't heard about that. That's where they'd like literally fake an alien invasion. You know, if technology gets good enough, they could do this with like footage. They could make you think. Like, what do you think the movie Independence Day was about? Again, this is why I bring up Hollywood. They write the scripts. Almost every Hollywood movie they make is some kind of idea that they have floating in their head for society. So you got to really pay attention to that stuff. And yeah, that is it. That is the spell of modernity, at least as I see it for now. The four keys. And they want you to believe in all of this as if it was a religion, right? That's the spell. This is your religion. Don't worry about anything else, Soy Jack. Just consume, worship the dollar, trust the experts, believe the news, and just trust us, bro. Just trust us. We're looking out for you. So anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. And please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. And I will I'll talk to you guys on the next one.